am Fiddle and Johnny, and this is my Fiddle channel and Magic Review. Just a quick note on that song. That is called The Boys of Blue Hill. A little snappy song there to dance to. So I am, for the very first time today, going to do, well, I hope I didn't break my violin. That was rather loud. Today I'm going to do my very first book review on this channel. So that's a first. To be honest, I was a little bit hesitant about doing a book review because even though I'm an older guy and I started off by learning with books, the truth is I love the modern digital age where we can learn through videos. It's really my favorite way to learn tricks. I want to be able to see it. I want to be able to have the instructions, and it really is my preferred method. And so I was hesitant to do a book review, but this is the book that I am reviewing. This is Resigned by Miracles. Is it Resigned or Resigned by Miracles? I think Resigned is sort of the double meaning there. And this is done by Peter Groening. Boy, what an exciting book to read. So stick around for the review here, and I will get right into it. So let's cue some intro music and we'll jump right in. Okay, let's not waste a minute. Let's get right into this book review. So Resign Miracles, essentially what you're getting here is a concept or an idea. Maybe that's not the right word, but what Peter is teaching here is how to get a signed duplicate, card by your spectator. So your spectator will unknowingly have created an additional signed back of a card for your routine that you can use later. So you'll do a signed card routine, and in the process of doing that, you'll actually have captured an extra signature on the back of the card without the spectator knowing. So on first blush, you go, well, that's an interesting concept. How good is that? Well, a lot depends on, is the book well written? Are the instructions well? Are the illustrations good? All that sort of stuff. So let's start a little bit with that. First of all, you know, you can't judge a book by its cover, but I'm going to be honest, I really like the cover and jacket on this book. I'll do some close-ups so you can see it. But it is really a beautiful book. It's not a super long book. It is 111 pages. It is released on Hermetic Press. Now Hermetic Press always does some great releases in good quality, and they didn't let me down on this one. This really is a quality book and measures up to sort of your ad copy on this. So 111 pages, so it's not super long. The writing in this, so it's the very first book that Peter has released. I think it's the first, in fact, I think it's the first product he's released in the magic community to my knowledge. So right out the gate, I sort of hope, like, you know, I'm shelling out $40 for this, $39.95 for this. Let's see how good it is. It doesn't disappoint. It is clear that Peter's voice is quite present in his writing. It's so nice to see somebody doing, magicians aren't always the greatest writers, to be honest. Peter is a great writer, and really easy to understand and really easy to follow. There's a lot of choreography that he describes in his routines in this book, and the choreography is so clear and so easy to understand that it makes the flow of this book and conceptually understand how to do it really good. I don't know for you, when you get a card magic book, do you read it first? Do you have cards in your hand? For me, what I did is I first read it because I really wanted to understand sort of the picture and the ideas to get through it, and then do it with cards in my hand. So that's my own process. And did I mention I really don't like card magic all that much, which might sound funny because everyone who knows me knows that I never leave the house without a deck of cards. I don't know how many hundred decks of cards I have around the house. I won't even admit it. I'm embarrassed by it, but I have more cards than any person probably should have. And I don't think of myself as a card magician. I really am more of a mentalist, but I use cards all the time in my routines for mentalism. Now, this is not a book about mentalism. This is really card magic. And I think it's really for an intermediate card magician. You don't need to know any difficult sleights. You're going to need how to do a double lift, how to force a card, how to do riffle shuffling. What else? You really need to, he uses a riffle force a lot. You don't have to use the riffle force. Should know how to do a swing cut. Those are pretty much the fundamentals if you are a card magician. If you know the fundamentals, you're going to be fine. If you don't, but you're working on them, I don't think this is going to be a real heavy lift for you. I think it's going to be real doable. If you're brand new to card magic, probably not. It's not a self-worker. And even though it's not heavy with sleights, I think an intermediate card magician is going to be fine with this material. Well, now look, that rings a bell, doesn't it? Something in the kitchen must be cooked. Why don't I take a quick break and turn off that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I guess it's a good idea that if you decide you're going to cook some zucchini bread before you start recording, you should just remember that you're also cooking and doing a book review at the same time. All right, so hopefully I can pick up from where I left off. Good book. Let me talk a little bit about my process. So I'd said that read it first, then with cards in hand to attempt some of the processes. I don't know that I mentioned that, it's good for an intermediate. You will need, and I don't think any of the ad copy mentions this, and I'm not tipping any secrets here. If you're a card magician, you're already going to have these things, some gaffed cards. So you might need some of very standard gaffed cards that if you're a magician, you probably, especially if you're a card magician, which is who I would recommend this to, you already have the gaffs that you will probably need for this. So know that's something that you'll need. So the instructions are really good. Choreography, really excellent. I'm not a fan of card magic and illustrations. The truth is I want to see the picture of it so that I can really get and see it. This is maybe the first book where I felt like that was not an issue for me. The illustrations are really beautiful illustrations that are easy to follow, easy to see. That really doesn't help you there. But at any rate, the illustrations are really good, high quality. They were clearly drawn from actual pictures is my assumption. So a really nice job there. A lot of, let's go back to the process for me. When I was reading this book, halfway through the book, I was feeling like, I wasn't really jacked about it. But by the time I got halfway through it, I started to realize what the possibilities are for this. And ad copy always says, you're only limited by your own imagination, and I really hate it because it's an overused term. And please, for most folks who are putting out magic tricks, hey, let's come up with something else. Let's be a little bit more original than that. Okay, but with that said, I'm going to go on my own words here, is that I really realized that there is no limit here in terms of how you might do this. And so let me give you an example of what I think might be an excellent one, and hopefully none of my corporate clients are watching this. I love the idea of you've got this duplicate signed back of a card that your spectator is not aware of. And then when you start to think, what can you do with that? For me, if I'm doing an annual corporate event, or maybe I do their holiday party, and then in the springtime I'm doing their spring retreat or something for them. At the spring retreat, maybe I do a routine with the CEO where I'm able to obtain a signed back of a card that they just don't know that they have done that. And then when I'm at their holiday party, I am able to have that signed duplicate show up at an impossible location. Maybe I do it behind glass in the ballroom that we're in. It's on the outside. That how could it possibly get there? Even though I just forced it inside in the ballroom. Or maybe I've mailed a package a week or so in advance to the CEO that he's not to open, or she is not to open until the evening of the event. And I forced the card on them. They've held the package the entire time. I've never gone close to it or touched it. And suddenly their signed card is in that package. I mean, think about how amazing that could be. Or maybe you do some local TV. You're a magician who does some local charity events or galas, and you're the person who's doing local TV to promote it. And you go on TV maybe at your local station once or twice or a couple times a year, and you're working with the host with some frequency. Get a signed duplicate card and do the same sort of a thing. Maybe mail the card to them, the signed duplicate in a sealed envelope or something, and do the same sort of thing. It could be a real reputation maker, and I know that's an overused term as well, but I can really see that when you have this signed duplicate that they're not aware of, you really can think of how many ways you can blow your spectators' mind. Or maybe you're looking to get a gig, and it might be a way to sort of show some of the amazing skill that you have. So I really do think that what Peter has done here is introducing some of those routines. That type of routine is not new routining, but his method for getting it, I think, is adds you this extra ability that cannot be reverse engineered. And so I also think that with this, some people might say, if you're using the too perfect principle, that it's too perfect. And I just don't agree with that. Like, sure, sometimes the too perfect principle can be applied, but I don't care in this situation. I think it at the end of the day, who's it, One Time Reaser says that I want all my magic to look like real magic. And I think understanding this principle, you can do that. So it's done here with signed cards, but he gives you some ideas as well around doing it with coins or with business cards. And essentially anything that you could sign that's easy to palm or similar to cards, why not? You give it an effort. So I think I've said a lot in terms of obviously I like it. So if you're a card magician, you're at an intermediate level, and you want to understand this principle, and then you can expand, especially if you're creative and different ways you might be able to use it. I think this is going to be a great book. I know that I could probably go on and say a lot of other things, and maybe you haven't seen a lot of my reviews, and this is my very first book review, but I feel very, very comfortable and stake my reputation on if you're a card magician who's looking at a way to get a signed duplicate back of a card from a spectator without them knowing it, so that you could use it in a part of your set, maybe 2 or 3 effects down, or maybe you do it like Peter does. He did it in his walk around and then would introduce it in his stage portion of an event for an evening. So if that's something you're interested in, then I think this is going to be a nice addition. And at $40 or $39.95, it's a very reasonable price for it. So, all right, well, that's it for me. I'm Fiddlin' Johnny. If you purchased this book, and I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments, so go ahead and put it in the comments. Maybe you know someone who is a card magician and you think they would be interested. Share this with them and let them know about it. If you're hearing other folks talking about it and you want them to know about it, so please share it. And of course, I would love it if you can subscribe. So thank you for coming here. My name's Fiddlin' Johnny, and remember to keep fiddling around with your magic. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.